Hey, hey. All right, I'm going live from my laptop, which I am so not a fan of, but whatever. Hi. Okay, I think we're finally live now. I don't know, maybe I've been live for a little while. I have no idea. All I know is that it says I'm live. I'm on my laptop, so I if you're here, amazing. Let me know. If you're catching the replay, let me know where you're joining us from. It's been so fun. We've had people, I don't know, literally from I think like we counted, it's like 20, over 20 different countries coming in and joining our lives sometimes. So I'm really excited. This live, I'm just going to talk a little bit about. I have worked with, at this point, hundreds of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, consultants, therapists, health practitioners to grow their businesses. And I've seen a lot of people make it, and I have seen a lot of people hit six figures, multiple six figures. And I've also seen a lot of people not make it. Hi, Crystal. Karen's here. I've seen a lot of businesses die and those flames burn out. And I think there's a statistic where it's like 95% of people who start businesses end up closing the doors and quitting. So I have seen the one difference in people who make it versus people who don't. And I also saw this in myself and in my business as well. So I'm going to share exactly what that is with you in today's live. And hi, Erica. I love your name. P.S. Especially how you spell it. So I think the one thing that people always ask me, how did I create success in my business and how did I create it so quickly? And honestly, the one thing that I've seen that changes the game in everybody's business is you have a desire that is so strong. Your desire almost becomes an obsession. And when you have that desire that almost becomes an obsession, you are willing to burn all bridges behind you. You burn them all. You burn all bridges. And I'm not saying you're an asshole and you're burning relationships. I'm saying your plan B does not exist. There is no plan B. There's no plan B. This is the path you're choosing. This is the way, and this is what you're doing. When I started my business, I was the executive director of a not for profit organization, um, hardly earning any money at all. And I knew also that I was building somebody else's dream. And I knew that I had my own work to put out there. I knew that I had my own mission. I was recently diagnosed with cancer at that time as well. And I knew at that point that I had not been living in alignment with my truth by staying in a job that I was miserable in because of the paycheck, because of the security, because of the benefits. And I had been playing it safe my entire life. And I had a master's degree that I spent, I don't know, $30,000, $50,000 getting a master's degree in nonprofit management. And I felt like I've spent all this money and all this time getting this degree. How do I ever let it go? But I knew that that was never going to be the vehicle. A job that I was working in or a career that I had established was not my path moving forward. And I was never going to be able to have the impact or create the income or the lifestyle that I desired in that position. And so what I did was I burned that bridge. And in my mind, my business became a non negotiable. It was going to work. There literally was no plan B. And every time I told somebody what I was going to do, that I was going to build this life coaching business, because I started as a life coach, I did not start as a business coach. And I built a multiple six-figure business as a life coach. So it is possible and it does happen. And everyone thought I was crazy. My family was like, my mom even said to me, people are going to pay you for that. Like, no one's going to pay you for that, Erica. My old mentor, who was a multi-million dollar entrepreneur, told me it was the hardest sell I could ever have. It was the hardest business I was ever going to grow. My dad thought I was crazy. My husband was like supportive, but at the time he was like, this is never going to work, you know? And so what I did was I knew that I needed to stop talking about it and just start doing it and start showing. And so my business became a non-negotiable. There was no plan B. Of course, my business was going to change and evolve and grow. But when I see people have that burning desire that becomes an obsession. I became obsessed with my business. It was going to happen. I was obsessed with how can I work with people? How can I build this amazing relationship with my clients? How can I create these epic transformations in their lives? And how can I build my business at the same time? It was like this huge desire that I had. It was this burning obsession. And I burned all bridges behind me. And the second part of this is the second part of this. When an entrepreneur has that desire and they burn all bridges, the second part of this is you stand by this desire until it becomes a dominating obsession in your life and it becomes finally a fact. Okay? So desire becomes obsession, becomes fact. And the people that I have seen not make it in their business, they didn't have the desire. They didn't have the burning desire. So, what do you need to do to tap into your why? For me, my why was being diagnosed with cancer and knowing that the life I had been living, shoving myself in a marriage that wasn't fitting for me, shoving myself in a career that wasn't fitting for me, building somebody else's dream, that was killing me and creating toxicity in my body. And I tapped into letting go of anything and everything that was no longer serving me and building my life from scratch, all based on who I am at soul level. And, I did this with a lot of things that I've manifested in my business. Like, for example, today I just had a Forbes article, a Forbes feature on my business and my business model and what I teach inside Soul Business Accelerator come out. I have wanted to be published in Forbes since day one, and I knew it was going to happen. And here we are, 4 years later, published. I knew at some point I was going to win International Coach of the Year. I became, in the very beginning of my business, when I hadn't even had a client, I was obsessed with the magazine, and I was obsessed with the coaches who were on the cover of that magazine and how did they win this award and what did they do. And in 2020, I won International Coach of the Year and was on the cover of Inspired Coach magazine. I did this with money as well. I became My first goal was $2,500 a month in my business. How am I going to ever earn $2,500 a month in my business? The desire was there, it became an obsession. I focused on it so much that I created a plan and it became a fact. My next goal was $10,000 a month. Then the next one was $30,000 a month, then $70,000 a month. Now we have $100,000 months. Again, I have a desire. The desire becomes an obsession, and the obsession creates a plan, and you stick by that plan until it becomes a fact. That is the difference. And I have seen every client that I've had that has made it to multiple six figures or even to six figures has that burning desire, which becomes an obsession, create a plan, and they stick to that plan until it becomes fact. Okay. I hope that was helpful. There's a couple people who just jumped on. You're going to want to go back and just quickly watch that replay. And I'm going to keep it short and simple because I think that everything in there is so powerful, and just let it sit, let it resonate within you. That is the difference. Once you have the desire, what do you need to tap into to create that obsession so that you can make the plan? And if you need help with the plan, don't worry, I've got you. I can help you create a plan and get your business to six figures. It's not easy, but it's real fucking simple. Just book a call with my team and I, and we've got that part. But then once you stick by that plan, eventually it will manifest into fact. I hope that was helpful. I'm going to end this now. It was so nice to have you all here, and I will see you soon. Bye. Mwah.